Welcome everyone. Thanks so much for joining us on this 4th of July. I'm Tim Pham. It's good to be here with you. A lot going on today for 4th of July and a lot of places to watch the professionals take care of 4th of July activities. Here's what you need to know. For the first time in nearly 20 years, Northern Quest Resort and Casino is hosting a 4th of July fireworks show. Celebrations started ahead about an hour ago, but the actual show isn't scheduled until 10 o'clock tonight. Organizers say this will be the largest fireworks display from Seattle to Billings, and Riverfront Park is also having a fireworks show. It's planned from 10 o'clock tonight, and it's part of the park's 4th of July Carnival event. The city of Coeur d'Alene is also shooting off fireworks tonight. That show starts at 9:30. You can enjoy a buffet and carnival before the show. Last but not least, Liberty Lake is hosting a 4th of July celebration. Fireworks will be launched from the Diamonds baseball field around 10 o'clock tonight. We have all this information and more on KREM.com. Before you celebrate this holiday, there are a few things you should keep in mind. KREM 2's Nicole Hernandez runs down a list of the top safety tips.
So I don't want to be a damper on any fun tonight, but there are some things you should consider before heading out to celebrate. First, there are plenty of fireworks shows to go out and see, so no need to shoot off any fireworks on your own. Like we've been reminding you all week, fireworks are illegal in Spokane, but even in areas where you can shoot them off, there are many reasons to leave that fun to the professionals. Which brings us to our next point. For some veterans suffering from PTSD, unexpected fireworks going off can actually trigger anxiety symptoms. And those loud noises also affect a lot of our furry friends. So make sure that you're doing some of these easy things to keep your pets safe. First, find a space for them that is comforting and as far away from the noise as possible. Walk your pup or play with him before the evening to tire him out. And what dog doesn't like treats? Give your dog some treats and toys to distract them. In case things don't work out and your pup still panics, make sure she is inside and all your windows and doors are closed.
Some pets are not bothered at all by it, but the ones that are bothered can be bothered significantly to the point that they harm themselves, they run away and they're lost. This is a time of year that the Humane Society sees the biggest flux of lost pets that come in.
That's just another reason to be mindful of how you have fun tonight. And last little reminder, don't leave the potato salad out. Most refrigerated foods can't stay out longer than a few hours before spoiling, and we all know how that can end. But mostly have fun and enjoy your holiday. I'll send it back to you.
Some good reminders. Thanks so much, Nicole. One thing on everyone's mind is how is the weather going to play a role during the fireworks shows? Michelle Boss is in the Weather Center tracking mostly dry conditions. Hi, Michelle. Happy 4th.
Hey, yeah, we've got some pretty nice conditions across the inland northwest. There are only some isolated spots that are seeing a little bit of cooler, wet weather, but for the most part, we're all going to enjoy some dry weather for those fireworks. Taking a look at Storm Tracker 2 Doppler radar, we do have a little bit of thunderstorm activity, but seeing things all quiet in the Spokane, Coeur d'Alene area and most of the areas south of us, kind of zooming in towards that Canadian border where we are seeing some showers and thunderstorms that do contain a little bit of small hail, some gusty winds. Colville's had a few sprinkles over the last couple of hours, so they're seeing temperatures kind of coolish out into the 60s since they've seen some wet weather. Ione getting a little bit of thunder shower activity, and on that north side of Priest Lake it looks like a little bit of hail as well, but so far Sandpoint has managed to stay dry. Bonners Ferry, you folks out there might see a few sprinkles this evening, but again, the rest of us enjoying some pretty nice weather. 78 right now in Spokane, 75 in Coeur d'Alene. It's a little bit warmer out across the Columbia Basin, checking in at 85 degrees in Moses Lake, in the lower 80s in Lewiston. Here's a look the next 12 hours in Spokane. About the time the fireworks are going to be going off, we'll see temperatures in the upper 60s to lower 70s with partly cloudy skies, so really nice conditions out there to enjoy the outdoors. And the next 3 days looking pretty good if you're headed out to the lake or camping. Partly cloudy skies tomorrow, highs in the lower 80s, partly cloudy lower 80s on Saturday. Just a little bit cooler on Sunday, highs in the upper 70s to around 80.
Michelle, thank you. Fire crews are mopping up a fire in Oroville in Okanogan County. It has burned at least 300 acres. The fire grew about 10 times its size in just about an hour. Fire crews believe the fire was started by a tractor in a nearby field. One outbuilding was lost, but thankfully no one was hurt. A 6.4 magnitude earthquake rattled neighborhoods in Southern California. This is the largest quake to hit that region since 1999. The earthquake hit a remote area of San Bernardino about 100 miles away from Los Angeles. Many people reported feeling tremors around 10:30 this morning, even as far away as Las Vegas. At last check, there are no reports of major damage, although some business owners say their products were flying off the shelves, literally. And this may not be the only quake to hit the area. Seismologists with the USGS say there is 1 in 20 chance we could see an even bigger quake coming soon. Investigators with the Kitsap County Incident Response Team are looking into an officer-involved shooting. This happened at Poulsbo's annual 3rd of July fireworks event. Police officers say a man was threatening people in the crowd. When police confronted him, a struggle began. That is when one officer fired his gun. Paramedics arrived on the scene, but the suspect was pronounced dead. At this point, investigators have not released the name of the suspect or the officer involved. New developments tonight out of Seattle. The Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Services is investigating the mold problem at Seattle's Children's Hospital. The agency says it found multiple safety violations. According to the report, the hospital failed to approve and implement an infection prevention plan. We are also learning the hospital did not inspect its airflow monitoring equipment to make sure it worked. Investigators say oversight like this puts patients at risk of infection. You may remember one person died due to this mold issue. 5 others are being treated for infection. Hospital administrators created a plan of correction to fix these problems, but it has not yet been approved. Even so, all main operating rooms are reopened today. Search teams are uncovering clues about a plane crash that happened 66 years ago. In November of 1952, an Air Force transport plane took off from Western Washington with 52 servicemen. The plane was headed to Anchorage, Alaska, but it never made it. The wreckage and remains of all on board vanished until 7 years ago. That is when an Alaska National Guard helicopter spotted debris scattered along the Colony Glacier. The melting ice started to reveal bits of the Air Force plane and those it carried. Each June, military search teams scour the glacier, searching for more clues.
It's very tedious work. These guys are out here 6 days a week. You know, they're committed to the mission.
We get to bring these service members home. The family members will have closure.
The team was out there again last month and discovered more victim remains. This week, Alaska Airlines transported 4 sets of unidentified remains to Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. Investigators there will examine them and test for any DNA. If they can identify those remains, the Air Force will return the fallen servicemen to their families. As for the search team, they say they will keep searching the glacier until everything and everyone is recovered.
He saved my son's life.
Her family is praising one thinking. About a month ago, the family's son was badly injured in an accident at their home in Rathdrum. The parents would later learn their son was only minutes away from dying, but he was saved all thanks to the quick actions of one Rathdrum police officer. KREM 2's Taylor Vito spoke with the family and the police officer they credit with keeping their son alive.
He loves everybody, and he'll tell you.
Nick Zucker is one lucky guy. Not only lucky to be with us today, but also fortunate to be surrounded by those who love him.
He loves donuts.
He loves donuts, and he'll ask you what your favorite donut is. That's his favorite question.
That's Dad, David, alongside Mom, Mona. This is a recent photo of David and Nick, and there's a reason David has that smile. It's a hospital visit that was potentially minutes away from being non-existent.
I got a phone call from my daughter saying that Nicholas was injured.
Nick, who's mentally disabled, lives at a home in Rathdrum and has a caregiver. On Memorial Day, he accidentally broke a window and severely cut his arm. It was bad. David, who's a retired paramedic, says it was something even he couldn't see.
It's always different, you know, when it's yours.
Nick was losing massive amounts of blood, but before his dad got on scene, someone else showed up. Someone who turned out to be a local hero.
And he was absolutely blue-gray, pale, and completely lethargic.
That's Scott Kennedy Sr., a Rathdrum PD officer. He'd been notified of the 911 call and the situation. Kennedy responded to the home.
I asked, what happened? He said bleeding everywhere. I could see blood just everywhere.
Knowing that time was essential, Officer Kennedy took out one of these, a tourniquet. He'd brought it out from his rig when he had heard of the call.
And then I slid the tourniquet up above the wound and cranked it down. I told him, this is going to hurt a little bit, but it's better than dying, buddy.
It was kind of in shock a little bit.
Nick was then rushed to the hospital. There, it wasn't looking good right away. Docs told the family Nick might not make it since he had lost so much blood.
He said, I don't know if you realize how serious this is.
But slowly, things started to change. Nick, you see, was a fighter, and despite all that blood loss, he came around.
They told me that if it wasn't for Officer Kennedy putting that tourniquet on his arm, he wouldn't have made it.
The family says if Officer Kennedy were 1 minute too late, Nick could have been gone. He's now recovering, and Kennedy says he's since connected with Nick. You might not realize it, but cops are lifesavers too, and situations like these are ones Kennedy received special training for.
It's just a new thing every day. I mean, I wasn't expecting this to have happened to, that day.
The Zuckers, well, they're forever thankful to Officer Kennedy, because if it wasn't for him, they couldn't hug Nick one more time.
He saved my son's life.
In Rathdrum, Taylor Vito, KREM 2 News.